Hello, my name is Lizzie Fordham, and today I will be discussing the way in which institutionalized Christianity eliminates the feminine in art. This will be a thematic investigation into the evolution of feminine representation in religious art, with a main focus being placed upon Hendrick van Balen's Baroque Trinity, 1620. I was born in Hong Kong, a country whose main religion is Buddhism. So when I first moved to England, one of the things that struck me the most was the dominance of Christianity. Of course, these days, England is so much more diverse, especially than it was 10 years ago. Or maybe I've just started going to school in Cambridge as opposed to the Fens. In spite of this, Christianity has such a deep hold on our culture and our history. It has been a crucial component of our history since the 4th century, and this is why I believe it remains an important component in the discussion regarding gender politics and misogyny. Just to be clear, I'm not attacking the Christian faith. I'm simply questioning the way that it has been manipulated by academics and the role that it has played in our society because of that. So, to begin, I'd like to start by stating the obvious, that the Holy Trinity is composed of 3 beings: the Father, who is masculine, the Son, who is also masculine, and the Holy Spirit, who is non-gendered. Masculine terminology is used constantly throughout the Bible, and this is a perfect example of this. If God is made up of 3 beings who are one, and over half of these beings are male, then who are we to deny that men are the superior gender? Adam was made in God's image, after all. We might think that this idea of a male God would be reflected in the earliest known depiction of the Holy Trinity, but this is not the case. I'd like to draw your attention to the first painting I'd like to analyze, Hospitality by Abraham by Andrei Rublev, 1400s. Here, we can see each component of God being presented as equal and ambiguous in gender. Each figure has the same wings, the same attire, even the same face. The traits of these beings aren't gendered. They're not masculine, nor feminine, nor androgynous. They're simply angelic. And this lack of focus on gender would have been typical of Byzantine art at the time. The main focus of this alfresco painting is not gender. Instead, it's religion. When we compare this to later depictions of the Holy Trinity, a great difference becomes apparent. So, let me draw your attention to the main painting I'd like to analyze, the painting that prompted this talk topic. Baroque Trinity by Hendrick van Balen, 1620. When I first saw this painting, the thing that jumped out to me most was the scaling. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit come together in a triadic composition, which alludes to the divinity and strength of God. But the Father and the Son dominate the composition compared to the Holy Spirit, who, although a main focal point of the painting, takes up a minuscule amount of space compared to the Father and the Son. Even though the use of bright divine lighting immediately draws our attention to the dove, it is used as a compositional device instead of being an aspect of God in its own right. I'm sure that most of you have seen this painting before. It's one of the most popular depictions of the Holy Trinity out there, and it's part of the reason why I chose it. Upon doing further research, I discovered that the dove is, and has always been, a symbol of love, peace, and the divine feminine. This is because in ancient Near Eastern times, there was a deity of motherhood called Asherah, who is closely aligned to doves and to dove iconography. In addition, the word for spirit in Hebrew is ruach, which is a word that is grammatically feminine. When we compile these different associations, we can say that this dove is symbolic of a divine feminine. Or, as Ariana Grande said it, God is a woman. This puts an entirely different spin on this painting, as it becomes clear to us that this is a depiction of two male parts of God with one female counterpart. And this dove iconography has been repeated again and again throughout time. Another example of this is Luca Rossetti's depiction of the Holy Trinity in the late 15th century. However, in spite of this once obvious symbolism, many of you, I'm sure, don't make the association between the dove, the Holy Spirit, and a female god. In other words, the feminine has been eliminated. Even though the dove is symbolic of a divine feminine, she is in herself not actually feminine compared to her male counterparts, who are blatantly and unapologetically masculine. So, what happened between the 15th century and the 17th century? What prompted this change from apathy regarding gender to the favoring of a male god? I believe that this disparity has been caused by a sexist mistranslation of the Bible. The original Bible would have been written in Hebrew, Aramaic, or Koine Greek, and all of the translators at this time were men. Many modern-day translators have reviewed the original Bible, and what they have discovered is that where many gender-neutral and feminine terms were used, often they were changed to become masculine and to favor masculine terminology. There's even an instance in the message which involves imagery of God bearing her children, which had been changed to become God bearing his children on his back. In addition, the Holy Spirit is referred to as the Lady of Wisdom and the Mother of Israel countless times, yet most of us are not aware of this fact. Simply put, this author's bias, created from living in a binary patriarchal society, has irreversibly changed the way in which women are represented in religious art, or more specifically, Christian art, and has led them to favor the masculine over anything else, including accuracy. This can explain the change that we see from hospitality by Abraham to the Baroque Trinity. When artists such as Hendrick van Balen are working according to a holy text, if that holy text has become politicized or contains a biased meaning, then of course it would make sense that their artwork perpetuates that same message. Hendrick van Balen's Baroque Trinity is subliminally sexist, as it attempts to disguise the presence of a female god through any and all means available to him, through color, through composition, and most importantly, through iconography. This is a case of language influencing literature, influencing art, and all three forms of expression perpetuate the idea that women and non-men are inferior. Thank you for listening. Pope, please don't sue me.